know for sure what his future holds. If another team, if will basically be conned into getting his services, I'll say this. For starters, for his legacy, if we're going to put it in small sentences, few small sentences that come to mind would be, one, Doc Rivers is the king of the head coach hiring search. Doc Rivers brings his A game to the head coach hiring search. He got the job with the Orlando Magic with no head coaching experience in this 99 offseason, and you got Arcuz coming in. Glenn Rivers' legacy is being a choke artist. Another part of his legacy is playoff underachiever. Shout out for longevity. So there's different adjectives, both good and bad, to talk about his legacy. So let's start into it. And of course, you got the infamous blowing 3-1 and 3-2 series leads, which is what Doc Rivers has become known for during the years. And part of the borderline cult worship by the sports media for Doc Rivers, and part of where this Doc Rivers love affair started with the media, actually starts back when he started with the Orlando Magic. Because to be fair, when he started with the Orlando Magic, 99-2000, he went to a team with no superstars. His first season there, you had a soon-to-be superstar in Ben Wallace, who, by the way, the Magic let go before he peaked. But they did go with expectations of being a bottom feeder, top 5 pick in the 2000 draft. They went 41-41 and just missed the playoffs. And Doc Rivers became the first, and I believe the only to date, coach of the year to not see his team make the playoffs, which sounds really stupid, but to be fair, remember, considering the circumstances behind it, you had an Orlando Magic team with no real stars. Shaq had been long gone to L.A. Penny Hardaway was gone at this point. T-Mac hadn't joined yet. There was really no true star on that team. You just thought, this team's just taking a spot in the league, and they almost made the playoffs. So that's where kind of the media's love affair for Doc Rivers started, with this idea of, oh my gosh, he's a good coach, which, to be fair, his first year he was, considering he took a horrific team and turned them around. And at the time, too, when he was hired, he was known as a great players coach, because during his playing career, Doc Rivers was an excellent role player. He was known for having a good basketball IQ as a coach, as a player. I mean, you think about it, the more I think about him, looked at his stats. If you look at Doc Rivers' career stats, they're not all-time great, but during his plays playing with the Atlanta Hawks and briefly the Los Angeles Clippers, during their irrelevant years, I think he was part of the Dominique Wilkins trade, Danny Manning trade, if maybe that was it, or maybe it was just a coincidental free agent sign. But Doc was known as a good role player, and I believe he may have won a Sixth Man of the Year, maybe, or at least he was a runner-up on a few occasions. I'll put it this way. As a player, Doc Rivers was the intelligent role player. As the coach, he's the unsavvy egomaniac. He is, because he may have been a smart role player, egotistical, unsavvy maniac as a coach. But you realize early on, all right, here's a guy to spark. You had then the Orlando Magic with Tracy McGrady, made 3 consecutive playoff appearances, but lost in the first round all 3 times. Most notably, the 2003 when they were up 3-1 over the Detroit Pistons. Sound familiar? Tracy McGrady, it feels so good to move on to the second round. Post-game 4 press conference comments, followed by 3 straight losses. Now, some people at the time probably gave Doc the benefit of the doubt, and they gave Tracy McGrady the flack because of his comments. But through 03-04 season, Doc was fired when the Magic struggled early on. And then he got the job as the Boston Celtics head coach, which at the time people thought was a good hire. In year 1, took a Celtics team led by Paul Pierce, led him to the playoffs, but ultimately another one and done, marking his 4th one and done in 6 seasons as a coach up to that point. But then around 05-06 was when his flaws started to get exposed. Because going into that season, Doc Rivers was considered a good regular season coach who just needed to play better in the playoffs. And then when they took that Boston Celtics team to 2 dreadful seasons that followed, everyone began questioning Doc Rivers as a coach. Even Boston sports analyst and Celtics superfan Ben Simmons was clowning him. But then the 08 finals, you had 3 All-Stars, 1 really good role player. Then that being KG, who took over as number 1, Paul Pierce number 2, Ray Allen is a good number 3, and Rajon Rondo, really good number 4. And even they won that championship, and that was the crowning highlight of Doc Rivers' career. Once he won that championship, a lot of people were ready to crown him. Because remember, early on, he seemed like he was going to be a really good coach early on. He made a great first impression with the Orlando Magic, taking a team that on paper was a dumpster fire and leading them to the 9th seed, just short of the playoffs, was where that created a favorable first impression. So by this point, flash forward years later, he's a champion? Oh, people gave him the benefit of the doubt big time. But then as the years went along, we started to see Doc Rivers transform from a championship-winning coach and a potential undisputed Hall of Fame coach to a guy who's historically known as an underachiever. We've seen all the constant 3-1 blown leads, 3-2 blown leads throughout the years. And we remember, do we even need to get started? We remember, even with the Clippers, we saw several 3-1 blown leads. But I will say this about his Clippers tenure. I got to at least give Doc credit for one thing. The good thing is he did an excellent job as kind of like the locker room mediator or guidance counselor when the Donald Sterling incident happened, when most of the players were rightfully irate about Donald Sterling being involved with the Clippers. After he made those remarks, and he did manage to help keep the chemistry of the team together. So to me, he does get credit there for that. He prevented it from being a distraction. And even with the whole Ben Simmons drama in Philly, flash forward to 2021-22 season, that could have been a huge distraction, but Doc at least found a way to keep the players motivated, good enough to at least make the playoffs. So to his credit, yes, Doc Rivers has shown his good, but to me, Doc Rivers' legacy is he's the perfect example of the guy when there's no pressure on and there's no expectations. He coaches like Phil Jackson. But then when the pressure's on, he turns into Mo Cheeks, the head coach, basically. And I would say Steve Nash, but at least Doc Rivers, to his credit, managed to somehow pull out a career that spans over 2 decades. So I'll say this. Doc Rivers, his legacy as a head coach to me, I'm going to put it in a couple sentences. An excellent head coach at the start of his career, during excellent regular season head coach. Drastic playoff underachiever who swaps personalities with his regular season self and does a complete 180 when the pressure's on. That's exactly what Doc Rivers has consistently been throughout his coaching career. But, give me one second. And let's take a look at Exhibit A. Like we said, the Orlando Magic, some good regular seasons. Now, as far as the good regular season goes, the 2017-2018 Clippers, when they had no expectations, their stars were all gone from the Lob City era. You thought they were going back to Sterling era irrelevance. But they made it as the number 8 seed, lost to the Super Team Warriors, but took the Warriors to 6 games, to be fair. So he did earn some benefit of the doubt there. I'll tell you, man. So that's why I say Doc Rivers. When there's no expectations and no pressure, he looks like an all-time great coach, along the likes of Coach Phil Jackson, Coach Popovich, Coach Pat Riley and company. But then, when the pressure's on, there's expectations or they're potentially favorites. Whether that be the Celtics with the big three, the Clippers with Lob City, or the Sixers with Embiid. He does a complete 180. He's like a Mo Cheeks or Vinny Del Negro or any of the other flop coaches for the Clippers long before he joined. And that's pretty much what it is for him right there. But we even saw with the Clippers, the 3-1 blown lead, I believe in 2015. Was it the second round against the Rockets, I believe? I believe it would. They were up 3-1 in the second round against the James Harden-led Rockets. And you thought this might be the Clippers' first Western Conference Finals. But they blew a 3-1 lead against a Rockets team they should have beat. Because they should have won that series. And they should have been the Clippers and Warriors in the 2015 Conference Finals. The Splash Brothers and Draymond and Iggy versus Lob City Clippers. Obviously, the Warriors would have won that series regardless because they were just that good. But the Clippers should have at least made it to the Conference Finals and played the Warriors. And I think the media would have enjoyed it more had it happened. It would have been more interesting, exciting matchup to see CP3, Blake, and DeAndre Jordan go against the Splash Brothers, Draymond, Andre, on the rise Warriors. But we didn't get that. And then 2020 with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard Clippers, it should have been Clippers and Lakers in the conference finals that year in the bubble, which would have been a huge ratings draw. Finally, after all these years, the Clippers and Lakers playing each other with something on the line. And ultimately, we never got that series because of another 3-1 blown lead. So there's always going to be those knocks against him. Now, to be fair, that doesn't make him a horrible head coach in itself, but it does make him the biggest underachiever in NBA history as far as head coaches go, and one of the biggest underachieving coaches in sports. Because, look, if Doc Rivers was truly a scrub the way a casual fan who only hears the rants would think he is, he would have been out of a coaching job a long time ago. He would have been a college coach of like a D2 school or whatever. He would have been long out as far as being a coach goes if he was truly that bad. So, Doc Rivers, one of the better regular season coaches historically, but one of the biggest underachievers. And that's ultimately been his legacy. And at this point, I don't see his legacy as a coach improving. And really, I think Doc Rivers, he should retire. I think this time it should be it. Remember when the Sixers, he got let go from the Sixers. Initially, he didn't get a head coach offering. He was an announcer at ESPN for a little bit. And I think Doc could have actually been a decent announcer if he actually spent more time there. He could have been a decent analyst, actually.